and my glue will last longer, because when it's all kind of spread out all over the place, then it actually just cures much faster, so you won't get as long out of your glue. Dome shape is definitely better. And then I'm working with my Quickie glue. I love Quickie, reason being it has a 1-second cure time. It is great, it's non-wicking, and that's extra important when you're working with handmade volume. You don't want a wicking glue, because what a wicking glue is, it will actually make your glue ride up your volume fan. And with non-wicking, it just stays put wherever you put it. It's not gonna ride up and close up your fan.
Welcome back for another video. Before I do get started, I want to go ahead and thank all my new subscribers and welcome. I know I have been a little MIA these past couple of weeks or months or so, just due to the whole situation. Just
We could put it back
a little
up
bit. I
there.
took a little break from
Oh,
launching.
she didn't know.
But now I am back, and
I'll tell her.
I almost gave it away.
Oh.
Go ahead and let you
Like,
guys
oops.
know. Please leave any suggestions that you guys
Thank you.
want. Any videos that you guys would like me to put out there, because since now we have all the time in the world. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get into this video. So if you guys are having trouble with the pinching method, I'm guaranteed 120% after this video you guys will be pro fans. So these I purchased off of Amazon. I will go ahead and link the item in the description below, that way you guys can go ahead and purchase these. So I do recommend you guys purchase these first and then come back and watch this video to go ahead and practice. So let's go ahead and get started. The lashes that I will be using today will be the Paris Lash Academy. These are going to be the C Curl in 0.3, and then also the Live Bay Lash, and these are going to be 0.5 in C Mix. The glue that I will be using will be the Live Bay Lash Glue. This is going to be the low humidity glue, which I absolutely love. It actually won't be as good as it usually is, just due to the fact that it is a lot older and I haven't purchased a new one, just due to the whole situation that's going on right now. And obviously I'm not taking any clients. But let's go ahead and just jump right into this video. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just throw some glue in here. So like I said, this video today is actually for beginning lash artists. So for the ones that actually watched the last video I did on easy fanning lashes, this video is going to be basically the next step, okay, on how to fan with non-easy fan lashes. So we'll go ahead and grab the 11s. Okay. And I'm pretty sure, like 120% sure, that after this video, you guys are going to know what you guys are doing. So this is for all the girls that when you're picking up the lash and the fan just messes up everywhere, and you guys just throw the fan out and don't know how to fix it. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to do that using the flowering cup. So basically, you guys want to always go ahead and start with the easy fan lashes, just to go ahead and get the I guess the method down, and then slowly you want to move your way up to non-easy fan lashes. And I do recommend obviously practicing with the flowering cup, that way you guys can go ahead and get the whole technique down. So let's go ahead and start. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and, when you're pulling the lash, you want to go ahead and place the lash in the center of the tweezers, and you're going to pinch as tight, okay? So we're going to go ahead and grab a few here. We're going to place it in the center, and I'm going to squeeze as tight. You see that? Let me just fix my cup here. And then what you're going to do, like I've said before, you're going to place the lash onto the bed of your finger. You're still holding on tightly. You're going to pinch. You're going to slowly release the tweezers, and you're going to squeeze them back again. Okay, and you know how usually when you release that, you guys have a fan that looks all funky? For example, look at the end here. So how we're gonna fix this, you're gonna go ahead and dip. And you're gonna go ahead and place it in the center. You're gonna release and you're gonna drag. You can ignore those little ones there, but this is what it's gonna look like minus those two there. And remember, this is a practice, so you guys want to practice doing this. But look at that. And also the tweezers that I'm using are going to be the P1s. This is going to be from Paris. I actually do want to try the Live Bay Lash tweezers, but every time I go on to get them, they're always sold out. Alright, so actually before you guys go in with the pinching method, I know I already did one, I want you guys to practice this way first. So what you're going to do, you're going to go ahead and go in the center, you're going to pinch, grab, you're going to dip, and you're going to place it in the center here. You're going to release, and you're going to drag. So you guys should just go ahead and practice doing those. I would say the whole strip, practice doing that, okay, without the pinching. So let's just pretend you guys practice the whole strip after doing this. So say we're gonna go ahead and grab this. You're just gonna go ahead and dip. You're gonna drop it in the middle of your lashes, and you're gonna drag.
All of that fat pocket that was here, that huge pocket, is just gone.
With AirSculpt.
Hi everyone, my name is Julia Mann and I'm the owner and founder of Lash Tribe Academy. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video today I want to show you one of my favorite beginners techniques when it comes to volume lashing. Now first of all I want to show you what you are going to need today. You don't need everything. If you just want to practice, we just have it nice and high. If you find it's not, it means the lashes will always stick to a certain part, yeah, even though you are creating a fan, for example, it will always be attached to the tape, yeah, things like this, or like wriggling around and then picking it up, sliding it to the side, picking it up. All of these techniques are on tape. As soon as you're grabbing the lashes, so whether that is you're placing it back here or you're placing it on a different tape, that is called off tape. I am showing you an off tape technique only because that makes you a little bit more well versed in creating the perfect fan before you're moving on to something fast. I always recommend you learn your proper fanning first. So pick up your lashes, place them back down. Now we're going to go in with our tweezers. We open up our tweezers, we grab the lashes, slightly push them to the side, and we're going to open up this fan. You're going to grab it right in the middle and lift upwards and towards you at the very last second. And this is our first off-tape technique. I like to call this technique the lean and pick technique. So once again, the most important parts are picking up the lashes nice and close to the base, so that the base doesn't cross over, it's nice and tightly packed next to each other. Place the fan on the sticky strip. If you find it's not as sticky anymore, place it a little bit closer. Tap on it a little bit to make it stick. Lean it over. See, sometimes they even open up all by themselves. And then you kind of pick them open. Make sure that nothing crosses over. You can even grab everything to open up your beautiful little fan like this. Now the reason why I like to practice this technique with beginners is that you can really manipulate all the lashes the way they are. You can into them, every single little lash, and make sure they all open up evenly. And this is the best practice because you need to know exactly what distance we need, and with some of the other techniques that are a bit more advanced, we just don't have that kind of adjustment period where you just go in and play with them the way that we're playing with them now. So this is great to get to know your lashes and really kind of try and figure out what they do in what scenario. And I'm playing with them extremely now to show you what you can do. Yeah, you can even manipulate them here on the tape a little bit and just see really what works for you. Make sure you practice it with just a few and also a few more so that you get more confident with different types of fans. Narrow fans like this one are also very important to know how to do. But then also wider fans like this one. Really play with those lashes until you kind of get the hang of them. This is a very beginner's technique that will allow you to really get to know how far you can push with your lashes, and when they will fall off or come off the tape, how far you can push them over, how much you can drag them across to open up, and at what stage they might come off the tape, just like this. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you share it with your little lash friends, and you get to practice a lot to get a little bit better with this. Every single time you practice, just make sure you have good lashes. Again, all of the products are listed down below in a link, and everything is available on lashtribe.com.au.
And of course, like always, if you are really keen to become a lash artist yourself, you're not quite sure where to start, whether
if you shop on Amazon, you should use this tool. It's a browser extension that automatically.
So a really common complaint is that people struggle so much with creating fans. It is so difficult until you get the hang of it properly. It's so difficult. So don't be disheartened that it doesn't come naturally or if it doesn't come quickly. It's really difficult. You're dealing with little hairs that are 0.07 right down to 0.03 of a millimeter. They're crazy thin. So don't worry, it's practice. This whole thing is practice. So I'm just going to go through how to create wide fans, narrow fans, and a closed fan. And I'm going to slow it right down so that you can see it all properly. So the first thing that's really good to do is get a little mascara wand and just give them a little brush through, and that will just separate anything, the tops that may have got stuck together through the manufacturing process. So give them a little stick. If they get stuck to that sticky strip, just run your tweezers behind them and it will just pick them up. So a little brushy brush. Okay, so this is my technique. This is the roll technique. I think that's what they consider this, the roll technique. So I'm going to go in. We're going to do a wide fan to start with. This is the Evo boot tweezer as well, if you're wondering. Still available on my website. You can join the waiting list there. I'll put a link down below. So we're going to come in between the lashes. This is a 0.07, so the max I really want to be picking up is like 5 or 6. We're going to clamp it so you can see it doesn't move. I'm not bending it forward, it's not bending back. The minute I clamp it, so thumb, 2 fingers, and I've got I've got 3 fingers on there, and I'm going to my ring finger. So thumb to ring finger, that's where the pressure's going. And I'm about halfway up that lash, and I've got it. Give it a second, make sure you've got it. Peel it back towards yourself. So I'm about halfway up that lash. We're going to stick it back down on the sticky strip. And just pat that base down, just make sure it's on there. Now, with the tweezer, the very tip, I'm going to turn it in. You see that? and up slightly, so that that very tip of that tweezer is going to hit the middle of that fan. And I'm going to pull it to the right and watch them start to open. And I'm back to the middle, push it to the left. And now I want to separate these two. So I'm going to go back into the middle, pull it back again, and I'm going to go back and pull it and just keep pulling them so that I watch each part of the fan moving individually. Don't look at the base, we're looking at the tops moving so that we know what each micro movement's doing. Where are we in that fan? So I'm in the middle there, and go to the next bit, and then the end one. I go back to the middle, I've got these two now. It's micro movements, and you literally can barely see my hand moving. So the tiniest little movements. So we're always coming back into the middle of that fan and just giving it a little wriggle about.
So remember, I forget who had the question earlier about shimmying open the, wasn't it you, Chastity? Weren't you shimmying too much? Okay, yeah. So this video, I just paused the video because she's showing you the shimmying, and you can see that the shimmying is very, very minimal. She's barely moving the tweezers. I want to rewind it just a few seconds, and can you pay attention to this little part? That'll help you. So when I say shimmy, I don't mean this rough movement back and forth. I mean like very, very small movements, because it's hard for my camera to zoom in and show you, but this video, she has hers zoomed in, and she can show you what I'm trying to explain to you. Does that make sense? Okay, let me go back to it and unpause it.
And just giving it a little wriggle about. Tiniest little movements. So we've got these two now. It's what each micro movement's doing. Where are we in that fan? So I'm in the middle there, and go to the next bit, and then the end one. I go back to the middle, and I've got these two now. Pull it back again, and I'm going to go and up slightly, so that that very tip of that tweezer is going to hit the middle of that fan. And just pat that base down, just make sure it's on there. Now, with the tweezer, the very tip, I'm going to turn it in. You see that? And up slightly, so that that very tip of that tweezer is, and I'm going to pull it to the right and watch them start to open. And I'm back to the middle, push it to the left. And now I want to separate these two. So I'm going to go back into the middle, pull it back again, and I'm going to go back and pull it and just keep pulling them so that I watch each part of the fan moving individually. Don't look at the base, we're looking at the tops moving so that we know what each micro movement's doing. Where are we in that fan? So I'm in the middle there, and go to the next bit, and then the end one. I go back to the middle. I've got these. See
how much control she has over that her tweezer,
and you literally can barely see my hand moving.
Hair to explain
so the tiniest little movements. So we're always coming back into the middle of that fan and just giving it a little wriggle about, rolling them side to side, backwards and forwards, left to right, and that's quite pretty. That one, that's nice. So we're going to come again between. The pressure's going to that ring finger again, and I'm going to clamp, and I'm not going to see that fan move. I'm not bending it forwards or backwards again. And make sure you've got it. You can see the pressure in my thumb, my thumbnail, how much pressure I'm putting, so that I've got that fan. It's not going to fall apart on me when I peel it back. And I'm going to peel it back towards me again, up sort of towards my face. And there we go. Nice. So I'm going to take my fan, and literally the very tip, 1 millimeter in and to the very center of this glue, because this glue is curing from the outside in, so we want to go bang into the center. So the tiniest amount, and it sucks it up. And you can release the tension just slightly and it will just go up that fan. And make sure, depending on how quick drying your glue is, just give it a second. There we go. So that's a wide fan. So a narrow fan, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come between the lashes, peel back, place back down, tap it, make sure it's on there, and turn that tweezer in directly down so that that tip of that tweezer goes to the very center. And we're going to do the same movement. Just start tapping it and see what's happening. So tiny micro movements. And this is a narrow fan, so we don't want to bring it out too much. So we're literally just tapping it, pulling them and rolling them. So that's quite nice. Come between, again, I'm about halfway up that lash. The pressure goes to the fingers from the thumb. I've clamped it, I've got it, I'm happy. Peel it back towards me. In the center of that glue. Now that's actually considered a bit of a twisted base, but they go on fine because they will wrap around. That's like guaranteed wrap around. And that's a nice narrow fan. So now I'm going to demonstrate a closed fan. So again, the same, I'm going to come between the lashes, I sort of hook them, the back part of the boot. Clamp them, pull them back towards me, back on the sticky strip. Now with a closed fan, this is what it wants to look like, but we still need to try and achieve some sort of wraparound, that we're not just getting it sticking to the top of the lash. So we're just going to tap it, just to release the top and the bottom. And if they come apart, you can push them back in. But just by doing that, we've just released anything that was stuck together. And we're going to pick it back up, peel it back towards us. And again, so you'll see that little bit that's come off at the right hand side there, it will just suck together in the glue. So I release the tension to allow that glue to go up the fan. Wipe off any excess there. You never wipe off your excess on a pad because they've got cotton lints in them. And there's our closed fan. So there we go. On the left hand side there, we've got a closed fan, narrow fan, and a wide fan.
Okay, so that probably helped. Hopefully it helped a few people, but I know Jasmine for sure it may have helped, and Chastity. She showed you how to, so the wet look is what a lot of people are getting right now, and that the closed fan will be great for that wet look. The fan that's not really wide open is a good one for hybrid. It's fan, but not, it ain't fan to the gods. And then the really wide fan is for someone that does not have a whole lot of eyelashes. Their money is funny, and they decided that they can't really afford to get to pay, for a mega volume fan, or, they're wanting to do 3D or 4D, but can't really, maybe 5D, but can't do a mega fan. You really want to help give them coverage. You want to really spread out the fan. Then that technique, the third one for the fanning out, is really good. Because she's doing a pro made, her dipping that in the glue the way she did, very, very minimal, is perfect for a pro made fan. Meaning that you don't want to put a whole bunch of glue on it. You want it to hold it together, right? But, you are going to then turn around later on and you're going to fully saturate it in the glue, because now it's locked in position. You don't have to worry about the fan closing on you. Then when you're getting ready to actually place the fan, then in that instance, that's when you would add, go back and add more glue. If you're making a ProMade fan, then that's the perfect amount of glue. Also, when you are making your fan, that little bit of dab of glue is all you need on it to hold the fan together. It should be 2 steps. There should be making the fan, dipping the fan just in a little bit of glue in order to hold it together, letting it set for a few seconds, and then going in, with the full Monty glue and bringing that dab over to your client. So you got to give a couple of seconds in there. Now, as we talk more about the steps, you see all these individual seconds that we're adding to it. You got to have a second for the glue, for the ProMade fan, for the fan, and even if you're placing it right then and there, you still got to wait that beat of a second and let that glue, that little bit of glue that you're putting in the stem in, so that it can dry. Because what I have some students doing is they'll make their fan, do all that work to make sure it's all spread out, but then hurry up and place it and let it go. And then the first thing the fan does is close up. And they're like, why are my fans closing up? Because you're not giving it a second to dry. It needs it's a half a second to 1 second glue, right? It needs that time to dry. It needs that. So if it's you fan this thing to the gods and it's beautiful, you have it nice, wide and open, you got to give it that extra second for it to set. Give it a minute, So what I tell my students to do is, if you're one of those that you're comfortable with setting, you know how she set it down on the strip and then she shimmied it open? Once I pick my fan up off the board, I don't like to set it back down, because to me, that's wasting time. But some people need that extra time. If you're going to have to set it back down, that's fine. Set it back down and go ahead and make another fan. Make another fan, set it down, because you're going to let the glue dry, and then go to the other fan and then set it down, then pick up the other one and then place it. You see what I mean? Just so that you don't have to sit there and wait that second. You don't have to sit there and wait for that one to dry when you can go and be making the next one. Then do that, and then just interchange them. I do that when I make them a mega volume. I grab it, I make it, I set it up to the top, and then I go and make another one, and then place it. Then I go back and grab that one. So I already got one ProMade while I'm placing one ProMade. And then I go and pull some off and dip it and let it set, because I'm adding a little bit more glue because it's a mega fan. And there's a lot of diameters of hair. I got to make sure that my fan stays nice and wide, because I got, someone's paying me $400 for this mega volume set. I got to make sure it's killer. Okay. So I got to make sure there's enough glue to hold all those 10, 15, whatever many fans. I got to make sure that they stay wide open. So I'll dip it in the glue, because I've used quite a bit of glue, because I want to make sure that it stays. And I stick it to a strip that I got above it. I'll stick it there. Then I'll go down and grab a fan, stick it in the glue, then grab the one that I made a while ago, grab it, put it on them, and grab another one off, stick it in the glue, set it up there, grab the next one. You know what I mean? So the flow keeps going, but at the same time, I'm giving the fan time to set. So that's really, 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 really important when you're making mega fans. You gotta let that fan, you gotta let it sit for a minute, let it set. Okay. If you're even in volume, if you're making your fans really quick and setting it down within that second before it has time, I understand speed is important, but if your fan completely closes up on you, then what's the point? It's worth that extra second so that it sets. So give it that beat of a second. I tell my students 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, just to give it just that extra second. In the glue, if you want to lay it down, then lay it down on the back of the fan, on the strip. Lay it on the back. Here's the glue down here. Lay it on the fingers. Lay it on the fingers. Set it down that way to where the butt of it's sticking in the air and drying, and it's not touching the strip, right? Lay it on the back. Go grab another one. Make your fan. Lay it down. Put it in the glue. Lay it down. Let it be sitting up. Grab the one before it. Put it on the client. That way you got like a little rotation. And if you got time to do a 3 rotation, then do a 3 rotation. Until you get able to get your speed up, place 2 ProMade fans for your one fan. 2, then 1, 2, then 1, 2, then 1. As you get faster, then you can do 1 and 1, 1 and 1, 1 and 1. Then if you get faster, then you can do a rotation. And that's where I'm at. I'm doing the rotation, especially with Mega. Or if I got someone that changed their mind halfway, I got them booked for a classic and then all of a sudden they want a volume. I'm like, ooh, I got another client afterwards. If that's the case, then I'm adding another one in the rotation, because I needed to set while I'm trying to make one. I needed to set, well, you know what I mean? I'll do that and stick it to the top, and then I'll have it so I can move faster. So that speeds you up. Little techniques like that speed you up. But when you're first starting, okay, so think about it. The average lash has 100 and 125 lashes per eye, right? Go ahead and make the Pro Made fans, and go ahead and make at least 100 fans. Make at least 100 fans for your set. So that way, if you're going to do 1 and 1, 1 and 1, 1 and 1, if you know that you need that time and it's going to take you a while to make your fans because you haven't mastered your fans, then now you need to make 200 fans, because you still got to make 50 of your own. Okay, so you need at least 300 fans. Look at it this way. I need at least 300 fans, because some of them's going to tear up, some's going to fall apart. You know what I mean? All that's going to happen. Even the ones that you've already pre-made, they're going to fall apart. You're going to grab them wrong, you know, and you're going to be nervous. And the ones that you pre-made are going to fall apart. They may fall apart in the little containers that you have. They may fall apart. So you got to make sure that you have extra. And you need at least 250, even with a classic. I mean, not a classic. Even with a volume, you need at least 300 lashes, or 200 at the very least. So make sure that you having at least 100 at the very minimum, at least 100 Pro Made fans made up and ready for one set. So if you've got several clients, then you're gonna really need to make more.
I have a question as far
Sure.
as it's Jasmine. As far as the closed fan and the spike, because unless I was looking at the angle wrong, it kind of looked the same. Unless it was
it did look the same, but what she was doing is making sure. Okay, so when you're pulling it off the strip, it's almost like it's stuck together, because the machine. Remember, the machine makes them in the strip. What you want to do is you want to make sure that it looks like a little branch. Like even if I put my 3 things together like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're together,
Yes,
right? But they're together, but they're 3 different lengths.
Okay.
So by you shimmying that a little bit across there, what it does is it makes one look. It doesn't look so blunt. It doesn't look like this.
Okay.
What she's trying to do is not make it look so blunt across the top of it.
Okay.
She's trying to make it look natural. So by going through and shimmying it, this is for the wet set, the one that was closed. Just shimmying it just a smidget. But I couldn't demonstrate and show you how little she was moving them tweezers. If you watched her hand, it looked like she wasn't moving at all, but you could see the end of the lashes doing this, right?
Yeah.
Which is why, in my opinion, that was a really good video to just demonstrate, like I was trying to tell Chastity earlier, to demonstrate what I was talking about. I mean, when we were watching her, she was really moving her tweezer too much, and she was, really making it really hard to get the base of her lashes, her tip back together. What I'm trying to do is create where she doesn't need that glue ring to pinch it back together. That she can actually do less, shimmying and so much movement to tear everything apart in order to close it back together. So she was almost with the you notice with the closed one, she was almost just tapping it with the tweezers.
Yeah.
She wasn't shimmying at all on that one. With the one that was closed, that's the set you're gonna need for your wet set. You're gonna put one wet set with like 3 or 4 lashes together, and then you're gonna do a volume fan in between it. Okay, and do a 5D. So put a 5D there, and then do 3 or 4 for the wet set, and then do another 5D, and then do another 3 or 4 for the wet set, and do another 5D. At least 5D. Because if you do a 3D, the wet set, the ones that are together are going to take over, and you want to be able to see the 16 millimeter lash go up, and then you want to be able to come down to the 12 fan that you made for the 5D fan that you made. That's 12 millimeters in length. Then you want to jet back up to your wet set. You want to go back up to that 16, because remember, 12 to 16, that's 4 millimeters. That's the most you go between diameter. You really need, if you want a true wet set and for it to look that wispy look, so you can go up and down like that, you really need to make sure that there's at least 3 at the very, very least, because otherwise you see something that's kind of going on, but it's not, oh, that's a wet set. You want people to look and say, oh, that's a wispy set. Oh, that's a wet set. You want it to look obvious that that's what that is. Okay.
Is there a way that YouTube video can get attached somewhere so we can go back and reference, or if you can put the name or something?
Oh, yeah.
Just because it was a good video.
It was, wasn't it? When I saw it, I was like, oh,
yeah.
I was going through, if I didn't like the video, so I canceled it. Like, that ain't good. I keep going.
Yeah.
Going to another, but that was really good. And how she turned her tweezers, and I'm not able to zoom in to see that. And so because she had a great camera, my camera is mounted way up on my ceiling. It ain't like I got a camera right here on my computer where I can zoom in. Their cameras are right there, so they can zoom in and they can really show. And that was a really, really good video. So yes, let me go back. I just paused her. I didn't even let's see.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I am trying to help as much as I can. Let's see. I want to copy link address. Okay, let me see. All right, I just put it in the chat. It's Loft Lash by JoJo. You see her, you hear her accent?
Yeah, literally.
Literally, yeah. She had a real good accent. That one, there was something to learn from each of them. I'm trying to remember what I liked about some of the other one. Remember with the one where the tweezers were open and you put the tweezers in and then shimmy? It showed that method, and then it showed the hat pulling a half off the board. It showed the second method, and then pulling it all the way off the board, putting it in another location and shimmying. Showed the third method. So, and then the glue ring and the glue, using it to spread. And then of course there's the pinch method. I haven't talked about it, and it's been intentional because 3D Lash and Brow doesn't teach the pinch method. So that's why I haven't talked about it as one of the 5 options. But of course, you've seen it in the videos. You've seen it because a lot of people do. The reason why 3D doesn't teach the pinch method is because of the skin cells can get in the actual fan. But my hands are touching the client and all that's happening, and I'm touching the iPad, and my hands are already sanitized, so in my mind, not a good argument because I'm already touching everything. I'm touching the client, I'm touching their eyes, I'm touching the tweezers, I'm touching the iPads. If they're tearing up, I'm drying off their tears. I'm touching the tissue. I'm touching I'm touching everything anyway. And so my hands are already sanitized. So I don't see what one more touch is gonna, I don't know. But I work for 3D Lash and Brow. And so the pinch method is not allowed. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay. So you have several different methods and several different ways to learn how to fan. Just remember that there's a lot of steps in the process. And if you count that 1 or 2 seconds that you waste by 100 lashes, do the math. It adds up. You spend an extra second here, an extra 3 or 4 seconds here, extra 5 seconds there on every single pass of a lash. That's going to slow you down. But you must first, and honestly, listen to me. Do not worry about speed if you ain't got technique down, because fast without prompt is no good. You ever, if you're a fast chef, does people say, oh, go to her, she's a fast chef? No, you go to the chef that is in there making everything from scratch. It's going to take a minute, but you're going to eat real good when she finishes, right? You don't worry about the fast chef. You worry about the good chef, okay? Now, if the chef is good and fast, then that makes her more, or him or her more of a commodity, right? And they said never trust a Kenny Cook. Just saying. But anyway, so don't worry about fast if you don't have the technique down. You got to understand, ladies, that we are all at different places in time. If you are crawling, I'm going to crawl right with you, right next to you. If you're walking, let's walk together. If you're running, I'm going to try to keep up. Okay? All of us are at different places in our journey. That whether you're Esty or Kaz or all of that, So my prayer is that I have said something over all this time that you can use no matter what your specialty is, because we're all out here trying to be independent. We're trying to have a 1099 at the end of the year. Okay, so you can see all of your fruits of your labor. Not after, you want to see all that you've earned before taxes. And a 1099 self-employment will do that at the end of the year, so that you know, okay, look what I made for this entire year before any taxes are taken out, before you owe anybody anything. You look and say, look what all I made. So this time next year, you'll look and you'll say, oh my God, look at how much money I made this year. Okay, what's going to be my goal to make more money next year? What's going to be my goal after that? How much more can I make? How much do I need? This is what we're going to go over tomorrow. How much more can I put back into my business? How much, what percentage should I put back into my business? I've been asked that a lot, especially when students are starting to graduate. Estes have that. They ask me that a lot. I don't know why, but they do. You know, how much should I put back into my business? At what point do I decide that I should hire an employee? When can I afford a receptionist? When can I afford to take time off? When can I afford to pay myself a salary? A salary, you hear me? Not based off of how many clients you have, but when at the end of the day, can I pay myself a salary? So that no matter what, I'm paying myself, and actually cut yourself a check. Don't just nip and tip off the top. Cut yourself, pay yourself like it's a business, like that money goes to somebody else. I literally can see what my salary was at the end of the year, outside of what I put back into my business, because your tax accountant will appreciate it. Okay, this is salary. This is rent. You know how much it was to rent my venue. This is how much for supplies. This is how much to run the business. You know, all of those things. All of that's important. And we'll go over all of that tomorrow when we go over marketing. So you can know how to run your business. So, does anybody have any other questions? Thank you. It was a good question, Jasmine. How are your fans, January?
They were getting better. I just threw it all away. I was cleaning up.
Good. Okay. What about your glue? It takes time. It takes time. Do you think maybe your glue is all? You got to understand that if you burp your glue more than 30 times, it may be time for a new glue, even though it's not empty. And I know you hate to hear that, but every time you burp your glue, it sucks air and puts air in your glue. Even if you seal it up good and everything. I put my glue in the refrigerator until I'm ready for it, an hour before a client.
I opened it in September, and I forgot what the good humidity level is for it.
Okay, wait a minute. You've been using the same glue since September?
Yes.
Jeez, Louise.
That might be the problem.
I'm dead. I done fell out of my seat.
I actually have two, and I bought some from LLBA, but I don't want to open it until I use it on clients.
Okay, so not only don't open it, but put it.
I'm being stingy.
No. Not only don't open it, whoever didn't open the brand new glue yet, but put it in the freezer until you do get ready to open it. What I do is I buy 2 glues and I put one in the freezer. Now, once I open it, I can't put it in the freezer, but then I put it in the refrigerator. Yeah. But if you have never opened the glue, put it in the freezer. Okay?
Yeah, I just have it stored in my I bought an airtight sealer, and so it's been stored in there.
Okay.
But I'll put it in the freezer because I haven't opened it yet. Thanks for that.
And if you have no plans on opening anytime soon, put it in the freezer. It'll last longer.
So putting it in the refrigerator, do you put it in there after every client?
No,
I
don't. I wait until like my last client.
Okay.
I wait till my last client of the day, and then I put it in the refrigerator, and then I take it out an hour before my first client. I have an alarm on my phone that sets as soon as my alarm goes off to wake me up, I set another one for how much time my client, and I put on a timer, and then I know when to go and take it out.
Okay.
And if I don't have a client that day, then I don't take it out. Like I didn't take it out this morning because I don't have a client today.
Okay, because I wasn't sure, because I know, like, I wanted to put mine in the refrigerator, but I thought that it was bad to do that.
No, I mean, because you got to remember, I spend a lot. I buy Extreme and Nova Lash, and Extreme is $135 a bottle for a .04 bottle, and Nova Lash is $155 and going up. That's a lot of money to spend for a .04 bottle of glue.
Yeah.
So I'm doing absolutely everything I know to do. They send a little care receipt with it and make suggestions as to how to preserve it. And so I do exactly what they tell me to do with it so that I know it, so I can make it last. Because it's expensive. I am not by any means telling you to go buy that expensive glue. I'm not. I'm just, I have a certain kind of clientele that expects it at this point in the game. Do not go out and buy $150 glue. You'll be mad. Go out and buy a $12 glue. And so, especially so you can get good and get better. I do have some glues that I recommend. Live Bay is a good one, which you see we watch a lot of videos from Live Bay. They have a good glue. I have another lady that I use too. Can't think of her name right now to save my life. She's on Instagram. What's the name of her glue? Dang it. I see the label, but it's black and white, but I can't. Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of it, but I'll look it up. That's a good glue. Girl Next Door is a good glue. I showed you a video from there earlier. Her glue is really good. It's pink. It's almost clear, like a pink glue. It has no latex in it. So you don't want to use glue on a client with blonde, brown lashes that doesn't have latex in it, because they really are looking for their lashes for you to coat that lash with black. If their lashes are already black, then that's not a problem. You can put clear glue across it, because remember, you're swiping the whole natural lash with the glue. But 95% of my clientele is Caucasian. So they're either blonde, brown, some are brunette. So I'm doing a lot of tinting before I do eyelash tinting before I lash them, so that they have that dark line. And if they don't do that, then they know that I'm going to coat the natural lash with the glue to cover it anyway. So some get it done, some don't. But if you're not lashing the whole lash line and your clientele is Caucasian, then you either got to do one thing. You need to start tinting, giving away free tint, doing the tint before you start, or making sure that you're lashing every single lash. Because if you leave those little baby anagen lashes, they're still blonde, right? Can't leave them behind, and then you lash everything else. That looks crazy, and then the client's not happy. So unless you can lash every single lash, then you need to know that if that's your clientele, that's the nationality of your clientele, that you need to be able to, that you have to tint it first. You have to tint it a darker brown or a black. It has to be tinted, because you're going to be able to, they're going to be able to see where you didn't lash really easy, because they're blonde or brown lashes. So keep that in mind. You want all the lash line to be black. If your glue does not have latex in it, latex makes the glue black. Girl Next Door doesn't have latex in their glue. And that's okay if your client is African American or Hispanic. That's not a problem. If 60% of your clientele is a particular demographic, then you got to cater to that demographic. For example, the Asian demographic, their lashes are straight. I would never put a J curl. I have a J curl on mine. I would never put a J curl lash on someone with straight lashes that go straight down. So if more than 60% of my clientele was Asian, I'd go get a CC or a D lash with the quickness. And that's what I would put on them every single time. CC or D. So then now you got to go buy another set of lashes. But the industry standard is C, is a C lash. But you got to remember who you're lashing to. It just depends what your demographic is, where you have to make sure. I have to keep lash tint, have to keep it. I keep it as much as I keep lashes. I can't run out of lash tint. If she's blonde, I got to turn her to dark brown. If she's dark brown, then I got to turn her to black. You know, I got to make sure that I'm lashing her so that her lash line is dark. And even if I am lashing, some of them still want their lashes tinted. They still want it tinted. I have some that come to me and just get a tint because they have beautiful lashes already. They just come just for the tint. So you got to keep all that in mind, okay? Y'all have any questions? How'd it go?
The classic one is it went fine for me. She loved it. She said she'll book with me again when she get her fill.
Okay. Look, I'll see you. Okay, you keep your sheet. You know that, right? She brought it to you. You have to keep it because you have to prove at the end of graduation that you're done. So you have to keep those sheets. Once you get everyone to sign off on it, you keep it.
Oh, so it don't go in the folder?
No. I mean, it can go in the folder, but you left her yours up front. She had to bring it to you.
Oh yeah, I talked to her. She said that.
Yeah, she had brought it to you. So just FYI. Okay, we're gonna take a break until 4 o'clock, and then we're gonna finish with the last hour. You guys don't log out. I'm just gonna put you on mute. I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and then no one log out. I'm gonna say that again. Don't log out because you're getting credit till 1 o'clock. It's 10 till 4. Everyone take a 10-minute break and come back at 4. Do not log out. All right. Because if you log out, too bad, too sad. They've been warned.